everything. But I would say if you're already 1-0 ahead, take the best map, try and make it a 2-0. The pressure alone against your opponent, I would say, gives you an edge for the remaining of the series, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, personally, I would choose my strongest maps, so I agree with you for sure.
Well, it's not how it's panning out right now. Let's go ahead and jump into game number 2. Tricked Esports is going to open up with the first ban. Now, we had our tanks banned in game number 1. Tanks equally strong on this battleground, especially Diablo. I think Tricked Esports will go down that route, or with them being the first ban this time, we'll have a little bit of a change-up address. Well, there you go.
So basically, the idea is still the same. If you are going up against Zealots, you either want to pick Medivh away from them, or you want to make sure that they don't have access to it. It was a bit of a different situation that we had on Infernal Shrines, where he was picked late, but we're looking again at a Medivh ban against ADRD on Tomb, which has historically been one of his best maps for Medivh here. Diablo is being hovered, that doesn't come as a surprise. I'm more curious to see, are we going to get Gul'dan, maybe from Crosby later down the road, and what is Alex going to pick for that bot lane? Because he could pick, again, we could see Leoric once more, and he could go into a Blaze, because this time they have the opportunity to go for an early Blaze, or we still have Thrall that had a huge impact. How is NA actually looking with Thrall? Because Europe is currently starting to pick him up more and more. The last 2 weeks we had actually a very high pick rate on Thrall and a pretty impressive win rate too.
I think North America is picking up on Thrall as well. I wouldn't call him very popular, but he's definitely popping up more and more. So,
well, Maiev comes out, and we mentioned she continues to get popular to a point where she's even first pick here for Tricked Esports. Now, if you're Zealots, are you thinking about the Garrosh in this rotation, especially with Mopsio being on the team?
yeah, definitely. The interesting thing about Tomb is every pick that Zealots commonly likes, I would argue, is very strong on Tomb. You know, you have your Garrosh, your Medivh, which is already banned out. Chris has Hanzo, Tracer, Greymane. All of these are really good on Tomb because generally on Tomb there's 2 ways to win the map. Either you win through out wave clearing the enemy team with heavy wave clear heroes, or you win by just out skirmishing the other team and forcing them to not be able to rotate. So yeah, all of the heroes that Zealots likes, I would argue, are very good on this map.
I mean, even for ADRD, we sometimes saw teams that are trying to target his hero pool a bit and start with like picking a Maiev away, banning out a Medivh, going and try and take Tacit away from them too through another ban. And then ADRD can always throw the Chromie, for example, or can even go into a Genji, and that of course fits here really well too. But yeah, we have Chris on Tracer now, so a bit of a different style here from them.
And then Malfurion, and I know that you like your own Tracer as well. Do you like the latest changes to her?
I think the changes are not too bad. Obviously, it's a bit of a nerf, so no Tracer player is going to like the nerf. But as far as the changes go, she did get an increase in her HP to some extent. And, you know, for players like myself, I prefer auto-attacking versus just like casting spells anyways.
Yeah.
So I actually prefer her new style better.
Well, we'll see how Chris will play the new Tracer. He's dabbled in her a little bit, it's been changed, but our first look on 2 minutes Spider Queen in a while for him.
It's actually interesting. I haven't heard a single high-level Tracer player that said the changes were not okay. Everybody was just like, okay.
Understandable.
The blow-up was a little bit too strong. Right now, the trade-off seems fair. That seems like something where you can still have an impact, but it doesn't feel like you make these plays that just don't have a counter towards the late game, especially after 20.
Yeah, exactly. Tracer was pretty ridiculous beforehand.
And soon we'll be seeing those new Genji changes too. I'm hearing actually Genji mains are actually appreciating what he has now because he actually got more health.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way about the Genji changes.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty nice. I mean, you don't really need the extra range and you're getting some more health back. It's it's not bad.
Well, we have our Phoenix and Stukov once again here for Tricked Esports. Stukov, good here, being able to set up that Maiev combo that you were talking about in game number 1, falling up into a Silence, and then Phoenix to dish out the damage. Zealots themselves actually thinking about banning Garrosh, which is interesting. I would expect them to probably pick it on their rotation.
Yeah, they could have definitely. I mean, this is also a map where Johanna is playing a bigger role.
True.
So I would think that there's a good chance that you're going to see Mopsio go for Johanna play here.
Yeah, with the Tracer Malfurion backline, they basically have 0 wave clear.
True.
So if they pick up the Garrosh, they would need their second damage to basically carry all of the wave clear in that pick. This gives their second damage a little bit more flexibility. I also really like the style that Tricked Esports is going with. Maiev and Phoenix both have a way to completely negate Tracer's pulse bomb, so those are very tanky targets or hard to kill targets for Tracer. And when you're picking up the Stukov, like I mentioned before, Stukov is not the best healer if you're trying to just single target burst save someone. So the fact that they already have 2 heroes which are very resistant to Tracer is a good thing in my opinion.
I mean, Tacita is banned out. We've just talked about ADRD, his hero pool a bit, and the style that they're liking to play. Now you have a Tracer, of course, on the other side already with a Malfurion. If you know that ADRD and the team itself prefer to go for these double support combos every now and then, and the Tacita affinity that ADRD has, I feel that's a no-brainer to go for the ban here.
Especially with it being Zealots, man. They have been willing to move into it. Even with Hanzo in the past, the Tacita has always been one for them. Johanna comes out, as you were talking about, and Blaze as well to help with that wave clear and also survivability.
Yeah, Johanna not only carrying in the wave clear department, but Blind actually is really good against both Maiev and Phoenix. You know, Phoenix is pretty normal in terms that he's an auto attacker. Blind is good against auto attackers, but against Maiev, Blind on Johanna is unique in that it's instant cast, unlike, let's say, Blind on like Lili or Arcanus or something, where there's a bit of a delay or there's travel time on their Blind. So because it's instant cast, if you're fast enough, you can almost always blind Maiev before she tethers, if you know how the Maiev is going to be playing, like E and tether, and that really can disrupt the Maiev player.
Also, just to put some numbers on the Tacita ban here, we have Zealots with 13 games on the hero and a 69% win ratio. They won 9 out of those 13 games. Now again, we have to put that a bit into relationship to the average win rate, which is 47%. So huge success on Tacita.
Yeah.
And they play Tacita more than any other team by far. The second team that plays the most Tacita is Dignitas, and they have 7 games with them. So Zealots nearly played twice the amount of Tacita, which just tells you a lot about the team. Not only ADRD, but also how much they are willing to still invest into these double support combos.
Now, Fan, welcome to Europe, where we get roaming Zool occasionally from Alex the Pro G.
Okay, wait, I have to ask this first. Do you know roaming Zool?
I don't think I do.
You haven't heard the whispers in the wind of the roaming Zool?
That's
Not
actually
really,
more so
not
2017, but he's coming back.
Wow, you've been missing out, dude. You gotta listen to the wind more. It speaks to you. Pocahontas was right, man. You gotta listen.
Wait, what?
You haven't seen Pocahontas? God, I hate you guys. How have you not seen Pocahontas?
That one I know.
Okay.
That one I know.
What's going on with you today? The Peter panning around, the Pocahontas? Like, are you on the Disney trip,
Maybe,
or what's going
yeah.
on here?
I mean, Infinity Wars is coming out, and that's a Disney product. I'm just
What's that?
Infinity Wars, Marvel. It's a Disney product.
Oh, I thought you said 30 words.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
that's...
Anywho,
Okay.
back to listening to the wind, the roaming Zool.
Okay, basically a roaming Zool is Alex meme in 2017. He tried to bring Zool back, and he just said, you don't just lane with Zool and go for the wave clear. You just roam the lanes, and you just feel like you just take kills the entire time. And he played it a couple of times in HGC Europe, and he was surprisingly successful with that. So the whole idea was just you roam with Zool in the early game, let someone else take the solo lane, and then you're getting the kills. In that setup that they have here, I would say it's still pretty fair that we're going to see Zool a lot on the offlane. Yeah. But still, with ETC in the mix, there are definitely good chances that Alex is going to start trying to roam around, get the Bone Prison in to allow ETC to get the kills as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it makes sense, and if there's a Stukov silence on top of the root, I can definitely see it.
We'll see if they're able to pull that off here against what's available for Zealots. Tracer going to be looking to zip around, but if a Bone Prison comes out, she may have to recall.
I mean, to be fair, they could still set Phoenix on the solo lane at the start.
It's true.
And just really roam with that 4-man. Then they would miss out on some of the range damage. But if you're looking at Zool, ETC, Stukov, as he said, and Maiev on top of it, you can definitely take a squishy target down quite easily, even without Phoenix. And of course, he could still like rotate in. So that's an option they have. I would still expect Zool to take the bot or the solo lane at the start, but they have a couple of options how to play it now.
Well, let's talk drafts here. Fan, who do you like?
Honestly, I'm liking Trick's draft a lot. The one concern I have is they don't really have anyone that can reach a Hanzo that's just max range poking them. Yeah. But outside of that, the draft looks pretty good. They're really hard to kill, and they have great wave clear, and they have good kill pressure on everyone that's not named Hanzo. So
you want to be able to kill that Hanzo, though. Caldor, what about you?
I think they need to win it early.
Yeah.
They have the wave clear, so if they get their kills early, if they get the first rep reverse, play the European double turn-in, then they have a really good chance of catapulting it forward. If they lose the early game against Zealots, though, then I think it's going to be tough for them to get back into the game.
For me, I actually kind of like Zealots. This is what they kind of debuted a little bit at the Western Clash, a little bit less Tyrael, but this is something that they are comfortable with. It's something that they are going to be pretty effective with. So let's go ahead and see how it pans out here as we move into game number 2. Going to go to 2-man Spider Queen as Zealots take on Tricked Esport.
And the game is on. Zealots in the lead against Tricked Esports as we find ourselves on Tomb of the Spider Queen. And to the left, the Zealots with Mopsy on Johanna, Chris on Tracer, Zarmany on Blaze. We have Hanzo played by ADRD and Shad on Malfurion.
On the right side in the red, Tricked Esport. Alex Proji on Roaming Zul, Make and Maiev, Crosby on Phoenix, Rimmer on ETC, and Grandpa Kid to play Stuka.
The chance for Trick to get back into the game here. They have their Roaming Zul in action, and we of course have Crosby once more on his Phoenix. Had quite an impact in the last game, but the heroic abilities were a bit off there. Firecracker's not too strong already. A bit of pressure play here against Mopsio, but Johanna able to walk away from this one. Now there's of course a lot of kill potential that we see from Tricked, and we mentioned some of it during the draft. There's definitely the opportunity to go into a Bone Prison, the power slide through, and then get also the tether in with the silence.
That root though.
So a lot of lockdown. They're already trying to use it, but as you said, the root putting Rema into a very awkward spot here, nearly taking him down.
Oh, but Chris had to be careful there. Starting to get low on health. Crosby could have turned into turret mode and taken him out quickly, so he recalls away. Tricked Esport able to survive, but that fight was pretty aggressive from both of our teams. Now, ADRD runs to the bottom, and he'll be laning against Crosby for now. A bit of an odd side lane. Don't normally see that, but it makes sense with the lineup they have. Zarmi can eventually rotate down if he wants to, but for now, he's kind of helping out with a wave clear in the middle lane.
Yeah, so we also have, just in general, when we're talking about Zealots, we have them with 4 wins and 2 losses with Tracer. So currently trying to add another one to that equation. As expected, we have now Phoenix on that solo lane a little bit. We talked, well, maybe not expected, but we talked about the possibility. So he's starting to take that role a bit more after Fnatic showcased it, and he can hold his own against him here. That puts us into a 4-man where we have some insane CC chains for Tricked Esports, which is the whole idea. Trying to get those kills through exactly this setup. The silence is in, the tether is good, the heals are coming through, but Johanna is still in trouble.
Yeah, that's my question is here. Do they have the damage? It looks like they didn't there. Tricked Esports is actually running away from this fight that they initially engaged on.
No, here's the thing. I feel they have the damage. I just don't think they have the damage to take the tank down.
Yeah, true.
That's the problem with it. If you can go for Malfurion, if you can go for Hans or for Tracer, I feel you have a really good chance of confirming these kills. Johanna, with the heals that we see from Malfurion, the roots, and then also the Iron Skin coming through, it's just a little bit too much for them to handle here. Anyone else, though, I really feel they have a chance. And to be fair, if they coordinated well, Chris, for example, has no chance of moving away from it if that silence hits home after the initial stun.
Yeah. Johanna with the Laws of Hope too, Mopsio realizing it was popping that right before he got locked down, which made it much easier for him to stay alive. But maybe you're correct there. Maybe Tricked Esports, they can pull that combo off on anyone. Besides Johanna, they can kill even Zarmi to a degree. Blaze could fall there too.
Yeah, I think the combo is absolutely strong enough in the early game to get the kills. Yes, you're missing out on Phoenix as the main damage dealer, but with everything else that you have in that lineup, as long as you focus the right target, you should be able to make that work. Still at this point, level 4 talents coming in for both of the teams. Of course, with Johanna, we also have to mention the blinds. We talked about those in draft, but in these situations, it is actually very impactful to have that short blind so that you have a bit more time for, let's say, Blaze to rotate in as well and get a jet propulsion through that could save you.
Chris goes for a pulse bomb, top of Alex. He has that bone armor just to keep him alive, so he's able to walk on out. But Zealots are starting to make a play for a turn-in. Mopsio drops off 10 gems. ADRD wants to answer back. The Rimmer comes over, drops a power slide, a tether on ADRD as he tries to kite away. Nice kiting by him, actually, as he puts damage on Make.
Yeah, and also Alex is in trouble again on Zul. And he is going to fall here. That's 11 gems that Make and Grandpa Ket are trying to pick up, and they actually recover them. So that's at least something. It's also interesting to note that, well, we're talking a lot about the roaming Zul that Tricked has shown in 2017. In 2018, they weren't really successful with it. This is the 3rd time now that we're seeing Zul from Tricked Esports, and they have lost twice with him. So 0% win ratio at this point. This is the first game where they could change that, but right now, Zealots are actually doing very, very well here dealing with that pressure.
I mean, if there's one time to pull it off and get a victory, it's the playoffs, right? Make a splash there.
Yeah.
So far, though, that hasn't been paying off for Tricked Esport, as they're starting to fall a little bit behind the experience. 7's about to hit for Zealots. And they continue to put pressure on Zul. Zul has really not had a chance to actually continue wave clearing or even get off the bone positions he wants, as Zealots consistently are building those pulse bombs and dropping it right on top of his face.
Yeah, and well, later on in the fights, we have from Alex on level 1. First of all, on level 4 here, of course, went straight into jailers right now. But we have the backlash taken on level 1, so that's going to be pretty good for the later team fights, especially against the front line. Once again, the setup here against Mopsio, and they're body blocking him heavily. They're actually really committing to this. It's a 5 versus 5, but Zarmani, again, as I said before, with a jet propulsion, is able to move in, and just that double stun alone alleviates the pressure just long enough that Johanna is able to move away from this.
And Zealots will get a turn in because of it. They will now have their Webbers pushing in all 3 lanes, and with Tricked Esports bruised up, they're going to have to tap and heal on up to be ready for the fight. Luckily, they also have a Stukov too, who should keep the Vexes sustained. Tricked Esports setting up for a possible gank on the bottom lane, but Zarmi, he knows something's up. He plays safe.
And this is really one of those things where I feel that Tricked is going to run into trouble. If they win the early game, I really believe they can put the pressure on the Zealots. But they're currently losing out on it. And that is definitely a big concern, because they have the wave play with someone like Zul, but he's going to have a rough time walking up to these Web Weavers and really de-pushing properly with a setup that is being used by the Zealots. So at this point, Zealots could really start to take a massive lead here if they're able to take a few of the structures now.
And they are taking that lead. Middle turret's already cleaned up. Grandpa Kit will help out the wave clear in the middle, and Zul went to the bottom so he can avoid Johanna and not get blinded out while he tries to clear out that bottom lane. But Zarmany is putting on the pressure, and Zealot should be able to rotate towards that bottom lane and help out if they want to. There goes Mopsio already, and ADRD might join up them pretty soon as well. Now Mopsio comes on back. Now Zealots are looking for that experience gain. They're already sitting at 9.25, and with their minion wave here in the bottom, if they want to soak that, they'll get 9.5.
I mean, Zealots, of course, they want their level 10 now. They're trying to go for the double turn and as soon as they can and then snowball the game here. The defense wasn't too bad, to be honest. I mean, Zealots are a level ahead, but there's no fort that was taken out. It just worked out for them. There's still a few gates and towers standing. So that could have been worse for Trick, but Zealots definitely got some value out of it. Question just remains, can Trick turn in? And at this point, it seems unlikely because Zealots are already about to hit their level 10 ability.
Yeah, I feel like it's better just to hold here instead of go for the full turn in. Just to make sure that they can get the turn in after 10. Yeah. And be able to fight, because Zealots, as you mentioned, are about to hit their heroics.
I mean, one of the problems is also that Zealots have a lot of interrupt potential for turn-ins. Hanzo Scatter Arrow is, of course, one, but then we have Malfurion with the Moonfire. Yeah. We see Blaze with interrupts, the Flashlight, the Shield Glare on Johanna is another tool. So there's just a lot of things available to Zealots to interrupt turn-ins from Tricked's side. So they can stall that out whenever they want, and that definitely has to be a concern.
Giants taken from Tricked Esports. Zarmany scouts that out. A little cleanup play there from Tricked Esports as they're looking to maybe get this middle bottom way pushing in. There's a turret for them to also get 10 on.
They were actually thinking about going for Zarmany here. The only reason why they didn't commit to Blaze is that they know they don't have level 10. And once the rotation comes in from Zealots from the mid lane, there was a risk that they just all die. So they were just like, okay, we could try and go for him. He's a little bit out of position here, but let's not overdo it. Let's wait for 10 and then fight on even talents.
It's 10. Make moves in. He gets a tether on Mopsio. He pulls him forward. Remember doing his best to knock him back so Crosby can work in the damage. But Mopsio turns around, drops down that flashlight, and blinds him for the second here. Alex Approachy is bobbling around here at the top, willing to drop that Bone Prison if anything comes in, but it's a Tracer. It's hard to get her. Yeah, the camp in the middle, on the other hand, is doing serious damage to the fort. So Tricked is definitely losing out on infrastructure. And Zarmany is trying to turn in again. And he actually completes the turn in at 24. And near kill against Zul. Alex might actually still fall here, but Crosby's coming in from behind. Skeleton Mage is on the ground. Here comes the mosh pit, but immediately interrupted there. Mopsio is still fine. Alex had to move back. And Zealots are just still holding on to this. They're doing extremely well here. And doing all of this, as I said before, the camp in the mid lane has gotten value for the Zealots too. And Tricked is now even losing out on some gems at the top lane as the waves are pushing in. Losing out on the gems, but also losing out just purely in these team fights. Zul is under so much pressure there. Crosby had to come around all the way around the back left just to get in a spot where he could help out in the fight. At that point, help was way too low for Tricked Esports to turn around and even try to attempt an engage. Zealots get another turn in, and look what they have able to pick off. The fort in the top, the middle fort is also damaged a little bit too. They should be able to get a lot with this push.
Yeah, Mopsio even zoning here just slightly, trying to delay this. Of course, a big deal is also that we have Tranquility on Malfurion, so the sustain that we're going to see in those fights is going to be even stronger for Zealots. They have Bunker, they have Tranquility, they have Johanna, of course, with the shield there. There's a lot of fantastic tools right now for Zealots to sustain themselves through fights quite easily. And it's really difficult for Trick to deal with all of that and to get the damage through to kill a target. As long as Hanzo and ADRD and Chris on Hanzo and Tracer don't grief and don't run it down, they should be completely fine in those fights.
Yeah, I'm really worried for Tricked Esports. When you're behind on Zul, especially a talent tier, it feels really poor for you and your team. Yeah. It's not being able to force a fight. You take too much damage before you even move in. And with this bottom board about to go down, 13 will hit for Zealots. Tricked may just put all their fights in this basket here. They move in. There goes the Skeletal Mages. Rimmer coming in from the side, as you mentioned, goes in for a knockback. Is able to hit Zarmany underneath the turret. Zarmany taking some damage here. Goes for a jet propulsion, trying to escape, but he falls.
They get the kill. Do they get more? That's the question. They are starting with the defense here, and they get it at the bottom. But at the top, of course, they need to start and make sure that that keep does not fall. But at least they got a kill. That's an important one. It's only the second kill, by the way, in the game. We've been talking a lot about the teamfight potential that Zealots have, but they only confirmed an early game kill. That's the only thing they got so far. But this game is, I mean, it's not over. Tricked is definitely struggling slightly, but with the kill against Blaze in particular, Tricked has now finally a chance to get a turn in themselves. And that is the moment when they can start to take a lead in experience if they play their cards right.
Turn in and experience. That's the reward Tricked gets for snapping that kill away from Zealots. But where will they get it? They have to get this bottom lane pushed out. It's already putting damage on the fort, so they'll clear that out. Turrets will give them a nice little boost in experience, but can they get more than turrets? That's my question here with the wave clear from Zealots, which is pretty darn impressive.
I mean, to be honest, if they get a couple of turrets on each lane, it's fine. They need to try and equalize the experience here. Don't forget, we had 2 turn-ins for Zealots already. Tricked is only a level behind. So if they just get a couple of structures with this, they should be okay to at least catch up in XP. And they have level 13 talents now. So that's definitely something where they can also get another turn-in, since they have the amount of gems too to get the second turn-in. So right now, the pressure that we're seeing here is pretty strong. Bot lane is completely ignored up to this point. And yeah, Tricked Esports can definitely have a big impact here.
There goes the walls, and the turrets as well. Tracer is above them, willing to move in for a fight, but Grandpa sees it. He drops out of silence. Remember, that root comes online here for Stukov as well, which is terrifying to play against. Yeah,
and now we are having still Zealots with a lead, but also the bot lane is being attacked. Here it's a 5 versus 4. Blaze is not in the fight yet. Going for Mobster again. Has been used, but the defense is there. The fort at the bot lane is half HP. Still a level lead for the Zealots. They did a great job soaking the experience here on all of the lanes, but Tricked is not giving up on this. They know that as long as they're on even talents, they still have a chance to move in for it. And they have the amount of gems they need for another turn-in.
Zarmany finally clears up the bottom lane, but loses half of that fort. As you mentioned, the turn-in is available for Tricked Esports. The Zealots will keep their eye on it. Trick can force a fight, though there's still a full level before Zealots gets that talent advantage, only 1 level ahead of their opponents. They dance back. They all rotate to the bottom side. Giants are actually being grabbed here by Zarmany. Zealots are split. Can Trick catch anyone?
Yeah, that's actually a little bit greedy. That Zealots go for both. And are they going to be caught? That's the problem. Rema, he could actually... I would have not been surprised if he went for a mosh pit there. They're not going for it. Hanzo Arrow comes out. They use the fuel, the old bunker. Nice. Camp, of course, has been stolen away. And they survive. Tranquility being used here as well. So Zealots with a lot of cooldowns that they just used. Half a level away from 16. Tricked still thinking about maybe finding a kill here, as they're also attempting to confirm the turn-in.
25 gems get dropped off by Azul. He'll head in the middle lane. He's to clear out this night camp. Johanna maybe wanting to force a fight, though. Popping the Iron Skin and chasing down Oxyprogy. There goes the Blessed Shield. There's a jet propulsion afterwards. Rimmer comes over to try and keep him alive, but Zul is down. 16's about to hit for Zealots.
Yeah, Alex is down, and that's a massive issue now. Not only the 16 that you talked about, but they're 10 gems short of reaching a turn-in by themselves. And that should not be the problem for them. They can move in, take a few structures here, maybe even with a camp push for the wall. There's another camp they could take. And then on the way back, they can go for the next turn-in. So great position for Zealots to start and snowball this heavily against Tricked Esports now.
Tricked needing a full level and a quarter experience just to be matched up against Zealots, but time is ticking. And Crosby gets a little bit too aggressive in the middle.
Yeah, he
Zarmany gets the easy pick. He'll take that any day.
Yeah, that's a super easy kill. And to be honest, I mean, not even the arrow was neither. It was one of those better safe than sorry moves, but that didn't even connect. So great play by Zealots here, and Crosby definitely not where he should have been in this situation. Just a bit too far out, too aggressive, and Zarmany takes the opportunity right away. And now they have the turn-in if they want it, but ETC is already on the spot, so Tricked knows that the boss is being attacked up. They're absolutely aware that the boss is probably going to be taken by Zealots.
Yeah.
So they're just sacrificing their gems, saying, we get the turn-in now, we get rid of the gems, and at least we are going to be able to defend against the boss. That's the one thing they're getting out of this, a free boss defense.
And they also get a night camp pushing too, so they actually might get a little bit more than they would like. Tricked Esports pushing the middle wave, trying to suck that experience as well, but we'll have to eventually go back and work on that boss. Tricked Esports actually thinking about maybe going for an engage as Maka takes the teleport forward. Bunker comes out from Zealots to help clear out this lane and set up a nice little anchor.
Yeah, they don't have their 16 though. The boss is all the way up at the top, and that buddy is getting some serious value. Now the bottom Webweaver is of course going to get that fort here, but Tricked is still fighting without a level 16 talent. They're hugging the Webweaver in the mid lane and trying to make sure that it's difficult for Zealots to engage into it. They're waiting for the bottom to fall so that they can get 16, but with them sacrificing the top keep, this is basically just them saying we need 16 and then we need to take a fight.
Yeah, and they're grouped up in the bottom lane. They still have that. Webweaver pushing in. The key finally falls to the top right corner. That will get cleaned up by the core. Might take a little bit of damage on the health.
I mean, no doubt here, you need to make your play now.
Yeah, they're looking for it.
If you give up the top keep for this, then you need to make this one count. You're basically just saying, okay, we have a better chance just fighting this. We can't just play a game where Zealots slowly reach level 20 and they can't do anything about it. So let's just make a play, get aggressive, and force something here. And they're trying to force it now. Chris in the backline once again with a play against Crosby, who's moving out. Zamani, on the other hand, is flanking in, but immediately shoved away. Mopsio also pushed into the team. The bunker's already on the ground as the two front lines on the side of the Zealots are trying to survive. Yet Tricked already scattering back slowly and steadily as 80 Artie is just poking away with Hanzo.
But Crosby bringing out the damage. A power slide in from Rimmer. Gonna have another tether as well. Mopsio gets popped down. Zarmi at the same time in the back left, also taking the damage. Make trying to chase him down. Tranquility comes out from Shad to keep him alive. Make feeling a little bit thirsty there. Thinking about going for the engage, but Crosby warps away from Chris.
Gets barely away here, and Chris is still looking for a potential target. But of course, once more, Maiev just throwing a shot out there. Top keep gone still. And what did Trick get? They got a kill against Mopsio. Hurrah. But the problem is, that didn't translate into anything. They need to get more, and now Zamani is trying to get a turn in, and they don't see it, and that's Blue Webweaver. Zamani moves away, gets a jet propulsion out of here, and Zealots is starting to get closer and closer to level 20 for Zealots. Everything, even with the death on Johanna, is absolutely on track.
Trick doing their best to push in this top lane. This is the most threatening lane for their core, obviously, with their keep falling. So if they can clear out this minion wave and make that Webweaver spawn a little bit closer to their opponent's side, they can then turn their attention to the middle lane and bottom lane and work from there. So Tricked Esports continues to try their best at defense, and so far they're looking pretty solid. But Johanna back on the field now, heading over for Zealots.
Yeah, Johanna is of course going to need some time, and that is time that Trick uses to defend the mid lane for free. They're starting to rotate down. If they can get the drop on Chris, and they're trying to, Chris needs to be very careful here, but is already starting to move out. Playing it safe, he has the vision, hides in the back, but in the meantime, Mopsio himself is again in a bit of trouble. Nice shove.
Good shove, but the arrow. ADRD hits 4. Zarmani goes in with a condemn and locked down. Tricked Esports gets shut down. 2 fall immediately, and a third as Alex the Proji turns around and buys some time.
Gets the quick B-step in. I mean, that was, get wrecked, boys. But that was a 4-man arrow, and then PogChamp moved right after that, the Blessed Shield connecting with 3, and it was just a beautiful setup here from Zealots. The perfect fight, and of course at that point Alex already knows that it's over. Zealots are moving just past the keep and go straight for the core. Tricked Esports is going to fall behind as Zealots are going for the 2-0 lead here. Focusing the core down. Fantastic play and opening here by them so far. Especially if you consider that Zealots in 2018 have not won a single best of 5 against Tricked Esports yet.
Zealots going up 2-0, able to find that final moment, but doing a really good job in the early game in particular of making sure Zool didn't get much effectiveness there for Tricked Esports.
Yeah, they just couldn't confirm the kills. Trick